Hello my friends, Grim here. I hope you're well. Thank you for watching another D2 Resurrected video. We are in the midst of the 22 Days of Terror, and this is the Black Friday sale, wherein all NPC vendors have generously offered 50% off of their wares. So does that mean that we can just shop on the cheap with our Windy Druid? Well, yeah, but there's a little more to it than that. So in combination with that 50% off, if you have yourself an edge bow to reduce vendor prices, as well as a Geed's Fortune, and my Geed's isn't perfect, not even close, it doesn't have to be, you are in business, generating infinite gold for as long as you are willing and able to click. So, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do a brief demo, just in case you missed this when it was happening, in terms of how to generate the infinite gold and then how to use it to gamble and what gambling looks like with all of these cost reductions. But more importantly, after that, we're going to do a review of the very best items we managed to find. Alright, it's time to put our good friend Halbu out of business. So you can do this with any items. I think people are generally selling and buying back perfect gems and mid-rune stuff like this. It can be just about anything. But just to give you a demo, Gothic Shield of Deflecting. It's a good candidate because it's big, taking up 8 slots, so you're not going to accidentally click on other things when you're buying and selling it back. And it's at a nice price because you're buying it for 11,000 and change, and then you're selling it back for 24,000 and change. And there are more efficient items, of course, but just to... Oh, I misclicked already. Just to give you the idea, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and the gold number here goes up, and if that's too much movement for you, you can even go boomer mode with these legacy graphics, and then you're really cooking. However, everything being so close together, convenient though it is, you gotta be careful not to sell those chance cards, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and put poor Halbu out of business as we max out our gold, and then we're gonna go and give it to his friend Jamila. Now, you can gamble in Legacy mode too, but I have not enjoyed that. It's just that much harder to read all of the text. So, emerging back into the year 2022, at Jamila's gambling screen, we see the things we want. Coronet and Circlet, both are good. Both much cheaper than you're probably used to seeing if you have any familiarity with gambling. And of course, the ubiquitous Amulets and Rings. These are the 3 things I focused on gambling at the beginning of my whole endeavors here, which, by the way, I'm home recovering from ankle surgery, so I have a lot more time to do this than I would normally do. I'm housebound and not having to work for a little while right now, so good timing for me, right? Anyway, these are the 3 things I focused on. I also did some boot gambling at the beginning, looking for the elusive tri-res boots with faster run walk and hopefully other good mods, but the boots were so universally bad for me that I've kind of abandoned that. So let's see what it's like. We've got a rare Circlet right away, which has got some decent stuff. It's not worth keeping, but it is worth noting that we're selling it back for more than we bought it for, right? So even though you can generate infinite gold, that takes time to walk over to Halbu and to click a bunch of times, or even to do it with Jamila in her own trade screen. I like to give Halbu some business too, though, you know? But it's also even more efficient than that, because oftentimes you're making money gambling, or you're at least losing money at a far lesser rate than normal gambling would entail. So, none of our headgear is any good. Look at a couple amulets, nothing worth writing home about, and same with the rings. That is okay, because we'll just do it again and again and again until the 24 hours is over, or until we go crazy first. So there you go, guys. That's how this all worked. Now let's take a look at what I got. Oh, one other quick thing, my friends. The character who's been doing all the gambling is this one, Lacer. He's level 90. I don't think I mentioned that, and I know that there's a lot that goes into character level with gambling. You know, you're level 88 for optimally gambling this, and maybe 93 for that, and maybe even much lower for other things, but I only have one high-level character. You're looking at him, so didn't really have the luxury of choice. Let's get into these items I've been teasing for way too long now, just so you know. I'm showing you kind of a variety and a selection from among the best ones I found. That doesn't mean that everyone is GG. In fact, very few of them, if any, are. Doesn't mean that all of them are even keepable or tradable, but it is kind of a cross-section of the best that this gambling spree had to offer. Alright guys, so the best pair of boots I gambled, as you can see there's only one of them here, is, with all due respect to that replenish life plus 5, basically just a much worse Alder's Advance. As mentioned, I kind of abandoned the boot gambling project because it was just so consistently disappointing. But on to the rings, where we do have a little bit more to show for our efforts. We're going to begin with some honorable mentions over here, ones that are generally good starter rings. They all have really low level requirements, and the first few have 10% faster cast rate, which has got to be the most broadly desirable affix on a ring. This first one also boasts a nice attack rating bonus of 105 for only level 16 requirement, in addition to 28 to mana, useful for many characters, especially ones that are speeding up that cast rate, and 9% magic find, a lot to like for the early levels there. Another 10% FCR, this one with more modest attack rating bonus, but still a healthy one, and it's more defensive, 28 lightning and 13 poison resist. Next up, we have a Lifesteal ring, which is another very desirable affix, and it is low, but again, this is a starter ring that also boasts 4 to dexterity, 10 to life, 33 to mana, and 11 fire resist. You can see the potential of rings, right? Including a minor attack rating bonus on top of all of that. So if this stuff was scaled up, of course, we'd really be in business. But those are rare for a reason. Moving on, we have a very high attack rating between 118 flat and then a 5% bonus. You've also got 13 to life, 66 to mana, 10 lightning resist, 5% magic find. Some of these things are a little low. Again, you can see the potential for stuff like this. Light radius is cool too when you're questing through dungeons. Again, these are our starter rings. We have another high attack rating here on Chaos Coil of 110. 10% chance to cast level 3 Nova when struck, 14 energy, 22 mana, 7 lightning resist, and a healthy chunk of gold find, 37%. So this one kind of mixing a variety of different aspects into the whole picture. Finally, Skull Whirl. 104 attack rating, 15 lightning resist, 10% magic find. Only 3 affixes for the fewest lines of text that we've seen so far on the rings, but all of these have decent values. We also managed to gamble not 1, but 2 copies of noted unique starter ring Manald Heal when I saw that golden beige or off-whitish hue. I got really excited. Sadly, it wasn't any of the GG ones, just Manald Heal, in addition to some of these starter set rings, which we've already sold, because I already have those. Moving on to the higher level rings, I've kind of put them into 3 categories. We've got 3 representatives of each. First category has faster cast rate, and we'll begin with Entropy Grip, which also boasts 85 attack rating, 6 replenish life, 46 to mana, and poison resist 19, so a bit of a jumble of stuff, but for that mid-game, almost everything is useful, debatably not the attack rating for some characters, but you know, you can't always have it all. It's definitely a respectable mid-grade ring. Our next 10% FCR ring is a little bit more defensive in orientation. In fact, it does very little besides defend the character and provide 10% FCR, but Replenish Life plus 8 is no joke at level 41. You've got 6% Resol, could be higher, Poison Resist spiking to 33, some unfortunate variance there in the modifiers. This other one is along those same lines with a little bit more even spread of 10 Resol, Poison spiking to 23. Again, 10 FCR is the big thing to write home about. I really like mana after kill when leveling. This is only +1, and level 48 is kind of low for that to really matter, but also half freeze duration. So 10% FCR is the best at ring affix, generally speaking. Sadly, neither our starter rings nor our endgame rings that have 10% FCR are really all that great. The second category here is kind of attack rating plus resistances rings, and we begin with a deceptively strong ring, in my opinion, with Shadow Gyre. Only 51 to attack rating, and a modest 1 to 14 to lightning damage starts it off. Not looking too promising for a level 66 ring, but it has the very max bonus of plus 20 to strength, which can be enormously useful in terms of using those points elsewhere. And then, of course, big numbers as well, not quite maxed out, but pretty close. 27 lightning resist and 26 poison resist, so the sheer numbers in those last three mods really carries that ring. Blood Touch, 6 to minimum damage, 101 attack rating, 7 energy, 7 resist all, lightning resist 22, and magic damage reduced by 2. It kind of does a lot of different things. Probably not good enough to write home about, but a decent all-rounder. And finally, in this category, Beast Whirl, a low attack rating bonus, 8 to life, 8 res all, spiking to 33 with lightning resist in level 4 Ice Blast. This one with resist all and another modifier to resistances and a bonus to life could have been so much more. Sadly, it is not. The final category has to do with lifesteal, so life stolen per hit is another pretty useful modifier for rings generally, a big part of what Melee or indeed some other characters want to do. Viper Eye gives us 6 lifesteal and 28 lightning resist along with some bonuses to minimum damage and attack rating. Ghoul Loop has a bigger attack rating bonus and a bigger lifesteal bonus, 113 and 7 respectively. This is another one that could have been so much more because it's got life, mana, fire resist, but all of those numbers are too low for it to be a real eye-opener. Magic damage reduced by 1 is just kind of a reminder of what could have been with Ghoul Loop. And then we've got Dread Touch, which basically boasts a 8% lifesteal, which is the highest on any kind of decent ring that I found, and a big cold resist modifier. So far so good, but the low numbers on poison res attack rating let us down. Maybe not enough relevant modifiers as well. Beyond that, just 12% chance to cast level 4 Charge Bolt. So our rings, all in all, I would say are pretty much a disappointment. But don't worry, guys, it gets better. I dare say much better overall with our amulets. And I know that the amulet versus ring average power level is definitely, there's a big gap there, but I think even taking that into account, we just rolled much better with our amulets than we did with our rings. Once again, we'll start out with some honorable mentions and or starter items. Entropy Torque has got a tiny bit of lifesteal, a tiny bit of mana, but 20 resol with fire resist up to 37, a very nice defensive amulet for level 31. And then another level 31 option here is +1 to elemental skills. As a druid main, I can tell you how good that is, and 10% faster cast rate. I already love it, but then 49 to life, 19 resol with fire rest going up to 27, 33% extra gold from monsters. This is really, really good, and if you could scale it up to the max of all these, especially, of course, to +2 elemental skills, we would be absolutely over the moon. We have next a low-level Barbarian Skiller with good resol, fire resist being the max. We have a rare amulet entry that does not offer any plus skills, which is usually one of the first things you're looking for. However, this is worth noting that sometimes they can be relevant and useful even without that plus skill option, because we have 10% FCR, 18 resol, a little extra fire resist, 18 to strength, as well as 3 to dexterity. Don't sleep on stuff like that if you start seeing some big numbers. If you see FCR and big numbers, you might be better off than with a average to poor skiller. And finally, this is a really impressive level 30 amulet in my opinion. I don't know if you level as a cold skill Sorc. I don't really play a Sorc, but let's assume you do. +2 to cold skills at level 30. I'm already on board. The lifesteal is wasted, but then 28 cold resist, 23 poison resist, half freeze duration, and 15% better chance of getting magic items. I'll take that for leveling up, no doubt about it. We also gambled a few unique and set Ammies, none of the good ones. We've got a single Nikozan Relic and 2 different looking Mahim Oak Curios. I think our Manald heals looked different as well. I never knew whether or not that was a thing. Now I do. Sadly, again, none of the endgame ones, but still kind of cool. And a special note on teleport amulets. Sometimes you just need teleport by hook or by crook. The 2 characters I've leveled in D2 Resurrected are my offline Summon Necro and my online Wind Druid. Neither one has Enigma. I found in the mid-game on the Necro a heavy resists plus teleport amulet, and I only recently on my Druid found Naja's Puzzler. And I can tell you that it's, you know, at least for somebody at my stage of learning the game and expertise, which is still relatively new, it's so much nicer to have teleport on some piece of gear that you don't have to swap to. So we've got here a +1 pally skill levels, magic amulet, excuse me, with level 2 teleport. And then, one that I might actually wear for my farming. Or at least I would if it was elemental skills and not summoning skills. But it's still a pretty good one because it's +1 skiller and level 2 teleport just like the paladin one. But then on top of that, it's got some relatively irrelevant mods at the top, but then all res 17, lightning res 32. It's a lot like the Necro Amulet I found, which I absolutely loved. Moving on to the magic amulets, and at first when I started seeing these +3 skiller ones, I got more excited than probably was warranted, because I don't see that many dropping out in the wild, but I gambled them left, right, and center to the point where I probably had an entire stash tab full of them that I have already sold. But these are the best ones, the ones that I kept categorized by class. We have Paladin up first, 2 offensive aura ones, 1 boosting dex by 14, and 1 replenishing life by 13. Next up, we have Assassin with 3 to Shadow Disciplines and 98 to life. That's a really big chunk of life. Then we have 3 to Traps, which may be the most desirable. I don't play Assassin, but probably the most desirable of the 3 categories. Only 41 to life, but still, all characters, all builds can use life. And then 3 to Martial Arts with 19 to Dex. We, moving on to the Necro, see an unfortunately modest bonus to energy alongside 3 to poison and bone, and then a slightly bigger boost of 14 to energy alongside 3 to summoning skills. And the Necro lives and dies by those plus skills, so these are definitely valid choices to a certain degree, especially because you can use them starting at level 45. Moving on to Amazon, 3 to passive and magic and 34 to life. Again, you can't go wrong with life. And how about some life stolen per hit? 6% on this one alongside another passive and magic +3, and then 23 to strength, possibly the most impressive one, although I don't play Amazon just in a vacuum. Of course, Amazon in lifesteal makes a lot of sense, but 23 to strength lets you allocate a lot of resources elsewhere. Only 1 +3 skiller for the barb. It's to masteries, replenish life +4. Not really that exciting, but the best ones I found are here at the end. 2 for Sorceress, we've got +3 to fire skills, and 52% extra gold from monsters, which I'm sure there is probably some kind of a niche for. And this one is earmarked for my buddy Paladin, who told me about this whole gambling thing. And this is +3 to lightning skills and 10% faster cast rate. Surely this is the most desirable piece I have shown you so far. Unless I'm missing something, you know, I only play to any kind of a experience level 2 out of the 7 classes. I know that I haven't sold anything too crazy, but maybe something that I've showed you is not quite on this level, but I kind of doubt it. +3 to a skill tree and 10% FCR on a Sorc. Definitely powered Amulet of the Apprentice, my crown jewel thus far. But hopefully we can top that with some of these rares, kicking it off with Druid, 2 to elemental skills, 47 to life, and 15 to all res are all really, really good modifiers. Sadly, the other 3 mods let this down and stop it from being really nice, but those 3 alone do go a long way. Next up, 2 to shapeshifting, 16 to strength, they like that a lot, 8 all res, poison res going up to 26. If the numbers were a little bit higher across the board, you could have the bones of a really good piece. And finally here, +2 to druid skill levels across the board. Definitely like that as an elemental druid. The fact that I've got 1 point into all the summons, that would be very attractive to get +2 to skills, not just to elemental skills. 60 to mana is a huge chunk. 36 to fire resist is a huge chunk. Again, the other mods, not really doing too much for us, but those three are definitely sweet. Storm Talisman kicks off the Paladin category, +2 to all skills, 6 to min damage, 13 to attack rating, sadly low, but all res 20, the very highest it can be, and 40% extra gold fines. So again, the kind of auxiliary mods letting us down a little bit here, but +2 to all skills, +20 to all res, that's definitely nothing to sneeze at. +2 to combat skills, and 10% faster cast rate, along with 7% mana stolen per hit, 67 to mana, and +4 to dexterity, another all-res +20. Definitely some use for these, I would say. Some interesting Paladin amulets. Only got one rare one to show you for Necro, it's +2 summoning skills, 20% magic find, 2 to strength, 34 cold, 11 poison resist, not the most esoteric option, is it? But a lot of things that you can get a lot of use out of. Again, Barbarian kind of getting the short end of the stick here with only one to show and only +2 to masteries, but 16 to strength. We've established how good that can be. A nice, decent buff to strength does so much in so many different ways. 40 cold res, love that. Damage reduced by 4, 16 fire res, definitely a decent one. And then Sorceress, I think, once again, is among the very best that we've got. This one is actually just similar to this one we showed you down here, the +2 cold skills and a variety of other good things that begins availability for you at level 30. Ditto Stonemark, 2 to fire skills, 10% FCR, 29 lightning resist, 25 poison resist, damage reduced by 3, 25% better chance of getting magic items. I like that one. I like that one a lot. I'm a Magic Finder Spectre. Your mileage may vary. I do like that one a lot. We've got another Sorceress Skiller, this one to all skill levels, and 10% FCR, and all res 15. The other mods, again, they're falling short, but those three are the building blocks of something very decent. And then we have another +2 Fire Skiller. This one more defensive in nature, not as impressive as the other two. You're basically getting 10 res all, +44 cold resist, 5 to dexterity, I guess, but really not too much else. Only one Amazon Skiller to show, +2, and then it's a defensive one, 11 across the board and 27 for fire in terms of resistances. Nothing too great there. Finally, Assassins. We have +2 to Shadow Disciplines, 10% FCR, 4% mana stolen per hit, 8 res all, spiking to 47 for cold, and a level 1 Tornado, because why not? 2 to Shadow Disciplines for the next one, 7 mana steal, 59 to life, lightning resist 39, fire resist 9, and finally a Traps, +2, with 10% faster cast rate, 10 to strength, 39% cold resist, and a modifier I like a lot, 7% damage taken goes to mana. In my opinion, this is the most promising of the Assassin ones, especially because it begins availability at level 34. That said, never played Assassin in my life. I say that, then immediately show you an Assassin character. She's only a mule, level 1, I promise. Moving on to the final category of Circlets, we have a few rare ones to show you, and they are all, with one exception actually, +3 skillers, because that is really the whole purpose of a, I think I said rare, I meant magic. Really the whole purpose of a magic circlet, with maybe 1 or 2 very important exceptions, but beginning, I guess, with the exception to the rule, Valkyrie's Circlet of Speed, 30% faster run walk is a very desirable affix, I understand, for Amazons, and then it's got +2 skill levels across the board. Definitely an interesting one, and of course remember, with these circlets, unlike the jewelry we've seen, you can use a socket quest to add 1 to 2 sockets depending on what you're looking at, and depending on randomization sometimes, to make these even better, which is arguably more of a power boost to the magic ones than to the rare ones, because you're working with fewer but potentially more powerful affixes with the magical ones. But anyway, there's the only non+3 skill magic one. Moving on to the 3 skillers, we've got 3 to fire skills, 70 to life. Again, you can never go wrong with a massive chunk of life. 3 to lightning skills, 57% gold find, alright. 3 to elemental skills, and replenish life +12. I'm actually considering trying this with my windy druid, just to see how it plays over my Shaco, and that allows me to maybe wear a different amulet, because the current amulet I'm wearing is basically this circlet, but in amulet form, or I could wear both together, but I think that's a little bit redundant with all that life replenish, and maybe not enough of other things. Anyway, 3 to summoning skills, again, Necro absolutely thrives on that, especially the summoner, 76 to life, you like that, and then, if you already have a big enough life pool but you can't regen it, the same thing, but with a replenish life +11. Now on to the rare circlets, cornets, and diadems, and I had pages and pages of these. I've thrown them away, or rather sold them and gambled more with that money, and kept the very best to show you. And the first thing to mention is that I now have a rare diadem, which I did not before, which you can of course re-roll using perfect skulls. The skulls don't degrade the item level unlike they would to anything else in the game, so it's good to have a rare diadem on hand. This rare diadem has got +2 to summoning skills, 20 to strength, all res 8, 37 to life, plus some enhanced defense and a chance to cast charge bolt when struck. That's actually pretty good. All in all, if some of those numbers were simply bigger, you would be really in contention with something like that. +2 to paladin skill levels, we've got attack rating, minimum damage, and mana stolen bonuses, all kind of modest ones. 52 to mana, attacker takes damage of 8. There's a lot going on there. I'm not sure it's among the better ones that we have here, but it is respectable. Next, +2 to barbarian skill levels, 13 to dex, 23 to life, nice big chunk of fire resist at 39, 73% extra gold for monsters, which seems to me to be desirable for nothing else. If for nothing else, then because gold find barbs exist, and then it comes with a socket on top of that. Next up, 2 to necro skill levels. 3% life stolen per hit is of course wasted, but we have 19 to energy, which any necro would like, 15 res all, lightning resist spiking to 33%, and a little extra magic damage reduction. This next one is probably the one that got away, my friends, because it's only +1 to sorcerer skill levels, but it comes with that 20% faster cast rate, obviously. Sorc skills, FCR, a classic duo. Name a better duo. Doubt you can. On top of that, it's got a really healthy 16 res all, poison resist spiking to 52%, damage reduction as well, but +1 skills probably stops it from being all that useful. 2 to poison and bone on the next one, and this one has 20% FCR as well, along with +2 to poison and bone, and the fact that you can use it as early as level 39, I am already on board for the Bone Mancer I'm leveling, and then on top of that, +2 to mana after each kill seems really good for that character, 29 to fire resist, magic damage reduced by 3. It's not GG endgame, but I like everything that's going on here. 2 to martial arts on the next one, 9 to 19 cold damage, attacker takes damage of 9, okay, whatever. It's got dual leech. I don't know how good that is in this particular context, but 7 mana stolen and 7 life stolen. It's the only dual leech anything I found. Did not find a single dual leech ring, which I was on the lookout for, but I did find both of those modifiers here in the form of Pain Mask. Next we have a Paladin Circlet, +2 to combat skills, and then a bunch of stuff that seems relevant, it's just probably not good enough overall, but attack rating, dexterity, cold resist, damage reduced, and magic damage reduced. They're all relevant modifiers for a frontline Pally, just probably can do better. Plus 2 to shape-shifting skills lets druid get back into the mix. 19 to strength, again, I like that a lot. 16 all-res, fire resist 32, definitely sweet, so if you find yourself really low on resistances specifically, that is definitely a contender. Next up, plus 2 to necro skill levels across the board, and some really useful modifiers, just could be bigger, especially near the end. But 21 to strength, 21 to life, 47 to mana, all res 13. Again, that's got the building bones of like a straightforward boost all of your stuff type of thing. It's just not quite at the max that we would hope to see, or even particularly close in some cases. This one's intriguing because it's plus 2 to paladin skill levels and 30% faster run walk. 30% faster run walk always makes me kind of perk up and take notice. In addition to that plus 2 skills, only two more modifiers, which is a bit of a letdown, but they're both good. 13 to strength, 32 to fire res. Interesting little circlet. The last rare one to show you is a nice one because it's got plus 2 to fire skills and 20% faster cast rate. Those two things together are really nice. Sadly, not much after that is relevant. We'll take the 2 to mana after each kill, level 4 telekinesis, and then 7 to 22 cold damage. Again, the building blocks are there. It could have been so much more. Here's the final piece I've got to show for my gambling efforts, my friends, and unless I am mistaken, it is by far the best. We're looking at Artisan's Diadem of Speed. It's rather innocuous compared to the walls of text we've seen on some of these rare items. 30% faster run walk, socketed times 3. Why is this so good? Well, I don't play Amazon, so I can't tell you with expertise, but based on some quick Googling, it seems to be that the faster run walk is absolutely one of the most desirable things you can get on headgear, and then 3 sockets lets you do increased attack speed and enhanced damage. So between those two things, you are looking at an absolute endgame monstrosity for certain Boazon builds, unless I am mistaken about that, but something along those lines is leading people, in certain threads I found, to offer 3 to 4 bears, which is totally going to blow everything else we've seen out of the water if this at all holds any type of value as it did about half a year ago. But the ladder is no longer young, and other people have been gambling just like this, maybe finding their own Artisan's Diadem of Speed. I also understand that the Diadem is more desirable than other versions of this. I guess that is just for aesthetic purposes, but when you're that rich, aesthetics count too. Alright guys, so there you have it, the 3 open socket magical diadem carrying our efforts here. Could I have showed you about 1/10 of those items and you still would have got the high notes? Absolutely, but I wanted to give a cross-section of what it's like to do an inordinate amount of gambling. And also, I'm still basically a noob, so a lot of the stuff that is just char seafood still makes me a little bit happy to see. So thank you, as always, for watching. Leave your comments below if you have any hot takes on any of the items you've seen, or if indeed you want to make an offer on one of them. And also let me know what you gambled, if you did get in on this act. Thanks again, and stay tuned. I will see you for the next video. Take care.